Good morning. Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming. And thank you, really, this weather this morning when I was getting ready and it was pouring down rain and the thunder and the lightning. And so I'm so pleased and feel just amazed that everybody was able to get out here in this weather. And actually, if you look outside, it looks like it has stopped raining. So I hope that everyone who might be stuck in traffic is able to get here in just time. So anyway, welcome to the first annual Heart for Helping breakfast presented by Blue Water Carpet Care. And thank you for being here. You all are amazing. You all chose to come here because you care about this community. You have a heart to help people in need. You are here because you have volunteered at AIM, are employed by AIM, are a donor to AIM, or want to get involved in some way. You are all here because you have a stake in our community and want to help people in your own backyard, your neighbors, to be successful citizens making differences in their own lives and putting an end to generational poverty. AIM's mission is to connect people with support, resources, and education so they can empower themselves to become self-sufficient. This event is about you who care about AIM and what we do here. This event is about how when we ask people in this community to donate their time, their talent, and their financial contributions, that people respond to that need. That this community steps up to the plate, one person, one business, one church, one school at a time to give hope and change lives. In 1 month's time, when we put our needs out there to the community, we had multiple vans donated, a year's supply of heaters, Christmas gifts for more than 200 children, and community church members renovating a home for a person in need. The impact that has creates a domino effect in the community. Communities not only survive when others help out, they thrive. If you could have been in our office the days after we made the public aware of our beloved AIM van breaking down and we could no longer pick up food from grocery stores to feed the hungry, the energy was invigorating. It really was. The calls, emails, and inquiries was overwhelming, all in a good way, in an amazing way. All corners of the county and even across state lines were donating to us. Remember? I was met in the parking lot in the morning, not by clients asking about what time we opened or where to go for what type of assistance, but by people with their checkbooks open, asking me where they could make a donation. I was in awe by the outpouring of support. There were anonymous donors calling me that I had to question them and the validity of what they were telling me. I had to remind myself that every good and perfect gift is from God. I'll try not to cry. They know I'm a crier. The Bible is filled with verses and examples of people of all ages helping others. It doesn't matter if you have a lot to give or a little, it's the heart that matters. Wow, didn't think I'd get choked up this morning. More evidence of our community supporting each other is the fact that this year we have 34 companies here in Anderson who believe in our mission so much that they sponsor the entire year of fundraising events at AIM. They want to be a part of what we are doing, that our mission is what they believe in as well. All those year-long sponsors are up on this banner, and actually, after we went to print, 2 more sponsors, Publix and Bank of America, signed on as well. Whether they're at the dream level, the empowerment level, or the leadership level, they're all taking part in changing this community for the better. When AIM first started 27 years ago, there was 1 part-time employee, that was Christy, and 6 regular volunteers. And I want to recognize some of those early pioneering volunteers. Nancy Henderson, who volunteered at AIM starting in 1993 and then was on staff for 18 years, has brought some of the early volunteers here this morning. And I'd like to recognize them. If you're comfortable doing so, I would love it if you could all please stand. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your commitment to this organization, because you started at a groundbreaking time and laid the foundation for the future. Currently, AIM has 25 employees, some full-time, some part-time, some serving in different capacities, and we have 80 volunteers each week. The volunteers have always outnumbered the staff. AIM could not do what we do without them. They are the backbone for us. And now, we have more than 600 volunteers who work for us in a year and donate more than 20,000 hours of their personal time. Not all of them, I know. Not all of them are here, but if you are currently or have ever volunteered at AIM, can you please stand? I know there's a lot of you here. Thank you. Thank you guys for having a heart for helping people in need. What you do and continue to do for this organization is honored, commendable, and without a doubt, what God wants us to do here on earth. I also want to mention, throughout this month, have you all seen these out in the community? You all seen these in different places? Throughout this month, you might see these hearts being sold for $1 at various schools and businesses to help raise funds. I want to recognize the participating locations, and many of those locations have a representative here today. But the locations are Anderson District 5 Career Campus, Anderson Federal Credit Union, AnMed Cardiac Rehab Center, Bosch, Calhoun Academy of the Arts, Centerville Elementary School, First Baptist Child Development Center, Glenview Middle School, Montessori School of Anderson, North Point Elementary School, Pendleton High School, People's Bank, South State Bank, TD Bank, and Wood Forest Bank. So thank you again for having a heart for helping those in need, and I'd like to welcome AIM's Board Chair Courtney White to the podium for our prayer.
Good morning, God. Thank you so much for this rain that you brought to our community. We appreciate all that you do to help us in meeting the needs of this community. Thank you for this wonderful breakfast, and may we all realize that there are those in need in our community that didn't get to have breakfast this morning, and that's why AIM is here, to help those in need. We pray that those that need help the most will be able to find it through our wonderful organization. Thank you for all the people here who donate their time, their talents, and all that they can do to help us meet those needs of our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all for being here in the rain. I know it's never easy to get out and slug through this, be here, but my name is Mike Brock, and I am owner and operator of Blue Water Carpet Care. Most of you know me as the fortunate person that's married to Christy. So that's part of my claim to fame here today. When we were talking about what I need to talk about this morning, and some of the things came up that carpet cleaning is really boring, so I'm not going to speak about that. But one of the things that came to my mind is, and it goes back to the logo, the heart for helping. And trying to remember back, and I want you to do the same thing, go back to the day that you realized you had a heart for helping. Can anybody think of when it started, when you really jumped in? Mine was May of 2009. That seems like not so long ago for being where I am and being involved in AIM and part of the community. But most of you don't know my past life. I was previously married and lived in Greenville. Very successful in the cellular industry. I lived in Thornblade. I had a beach house at Wild Dunes, drove nice cars, lived life large and fun and fast. In God's sense of humor, he decided maybe I was going a little too fast, and he changed the rules on me. As things incurred the next few years, it slowly downsized, selling everything off as fast as I could to keep my head above water. If it wasn't for family and friends, I probably wouldn't have made it. Lost most everything, including my wife at the point. And really just kind of struggled along. And one day God's humor was to put Christy in front of me. And when he did that, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And as she always says, it wasn't an oncoming train. So, as we got married, moved to Anderson, and I did a few things at AIM here and there when I could, because I was still busy trying to build my life back, build my career. One day, God's sense of humor came back again, and in 2009, where a lot of other people, we all lost our jobs. And instead of sitting at home, staring at a computer, looking for a job that didn't exist, I went to AIM and volunteered. Did a lot of different things. I cut grass, I fixed cars, I worked on houses. We actually rebuilt most of a house through personal donations, through friends' donations, and from work through AIM for a young lady and her 3 children that I still think very fondly of. AIM blessed me with being, unknown to my wife at the time, Volunteer of the Year 2009. That's when it changed for me, and I realized that AIM is such a fabulous organization. You guys are here because you, like I said earlier, you believe in AIM, you believe in the community, you believe in yourself, and you believe in what you need to do to make things work in this area. And I think that without AIM, Anderson will be a wholly different place. So, Christy, for your 26 plus years of being here, we thank you. Not only from a volunteer point of view, but from a husband's point of view. I'm very proud of you and allowing me the opportunity to be here. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
I was supposed to get introduced by Mike, but
You need no introduction.
I told my wife, as a minister, it's hard not walking up stage and the first thing that you say is, please turn in your Bibles to. We will refrain from that today. As I do want to introduce a video. Before we do that, I'm Jordan Evans. I'm director of the Hunger Ministries at AIM, and have been honored to be able to serve for almost 3 years at AIM. And I told my wife also this morning that you would think growing up in Anderson your whole life, I'm 30, never been anywhere else. Anderson's always been my home, born and raised, that you would know everything there is to know about Anderson. And that is true in a general sense. You know where all the important landmarks are. You know your directions, and you have that good sense of familiarity with the area. But I can honestly say that I thought I knew the community, but I really did not know the community until I started working at AIM. On an everyday basis, literally, I think I'm right by saying our program area is the only program that really runs 7 days a week. Saturday, Sunday, holidays, it does not matter. We still operate in being able to rescue foods from this community. And when you get to see that every day, and the partnerships and the resources and the time and the blood, sweat, and tears that are shed with this community, then you really begin to understand what this community and who they really are. So I'm so grateful to be able to serve in this community. And that's why we're here, to celebrate community engagement, and specifically this community's engagement, my community, your community. I think that we would all agree that there is an obvious difference between knowing about a need and doing something about it. And one of the main reasons that I truly believe in AIM, that I serve AIM, that I support AIM, is because that every single day, AIM is working hand in hand in some capacity with this community to try to change this community. Hearing, acknowledging, and recognizing a need are good things. These are good and essential qualities. You have to have that portion, but I really believe that that's only half of the equation. As good and important as these qualities are, you have to go a step farther. For community engagement to really reach its full potential, it's my belief that there needs to be a little bit more. And I believe that our community has understood that. I believe our community knows the other side of that equation. I think that our community is really the poster child for community engagement. You see, when our community hears about a need, they do something about it. When our community acknowledges a need, that acknowledgement turns into action, their recognition into response. It was Stephen Covey that said in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that every human has 4 endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. He goes on to say that these give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose to respond, the power to change. It's been my observation since I've been at AIM that this community has and is currently displaying the ultimate human freedom every single day. The power to choose to respond, and the power to change. We're here to look at the why the community does what it does. And I really believe it's going to be a special treat as we look at this video for a few moments and see why the community chooses to respond, chooses to change. I hope you all just enjoy this video with me.
I volunteer at AIM because God called me to.
I volunteer at AIM with my 4 children so that we can share the love of Christ to those in need as we serve together.
Share the love of our Lord Jesus Christ with them. I volunteer at AIM to give hope to others.
AIM helps me to do Jesus' work.
We volunteer at AIM.
I volunteer at AIM.
I volunteer at AIM.
I volunteer at AIM.
I volunteer at AIM because I like to help people.
I volunteer at AIM. I volunteer at AIM to bring glory to God.
I'm a volunteer. I love to work.
When God fills your cup, pour it out on others.
I work at AIM because no child should ever go hungry.
I love volunteering at AIM. I think it's really important to give back to our community. Kids and I have come to the food pantry before and stock shelves, and we go in our own pantry and take out things we know that we need to give back. It gives back to people who might need help, and I'm just really thankful to be a part of this great organization.
I'm Nancy Bergen. I like working with AIM because it helps a lot of good people that need help. I wrote about single mothers because I once was a single mother, and I know how hard it is for them to survive without help. We help single women with education as well as food for their children. So I like this community program that helps with education, which is more important than maybe even the food sometimes. I have been helped in my life and I want to give back. Everyone needs help sometime.
My name is James Adams. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I was coming through South Carolina by way of Honey Path, and fortunately my car was stolen and I was stranded, and so I wound up here at the AMED Hospital, and from there my life just took off. Searched out for resources, and AIM was one of them. I went to college. I'm graduating tomorrow, and I found a job at First Quality Industries, and I'll be starting on the 9th of next month. My first thoughts was it's a Christian organization, so they're definitely here to help out. AIM done me a great justice. They were there for me. They expected me to go out and do what I was supposed to do, not just to stand there and feed me, but to go out and learn how to feed myself. AIM pointed me in the direction of success by the Employment Pathways program. Instead of handing me the fish, they handed me the fishing rod and pointed me in the right direction, and I went out fishing.
AIM saved me.
There's no time or room to say it all. They've saved me.
James Adams' story. Is James here? He was supposed to be here. Okay. James's story, I think, just truly illustrates what this ministry is all about. It's about partnerships. It's about working together to change your community and help those in need. We can't do it by ourselves. If you heard James, he started at AMED. And if you really heard him, he said, "Fortunately, my car was stolen." Now, I'm not sure about y'all, but I would be saying, unfortunately, my car was stolen, not fortunately, my car was stolen. But that put him on a path to where he is today. Started at AMED, made it to AIM. We helped with some basic needs. We got him in our employment pathways. He then went to Tri-County Tech, and I wanted Katie to be here. Katie, raise your hand. Katie, along with our Becky. Becky, where are you? Becky? Somewhere. She's hiding. Becky's at our campus, and between Becky and Katie, they worked with Mr. Adams to get him that fishing rod he talked about, which was his training that he is now at First Quality employed. And it's my understanding that he had two different departments fighting over which department was going to get him. That's success. 27 years. And I look at how we've grown. Because all of you have a heart for helping. You want this community to be a better place. And as I thought about what I would share with you today, several of the girls yesterday said, "Tell them a story." Well, many of you have heard this story, but I am going to share a story with you because AIM started as an outreach of the community of faith. The community of faith decided that we can much more effectively and efficiently meet the needs of this community if we can work together. So they created AIM. At the time they were starting this ministry, I was at Crisis Ministries. And I thought, wow, that's a good thing to have an organization that's going to vet people, because there were a lot of folks taking advantage of the Christian charity of the churches. But I also worried a little. Are we creating an organization that's going to take ministry away from the church? But I share with you today that by no way has AIM taken ministry to the church, taken ministry away from the church. In fact, we've really given it back to the church. We were created to be the vehicle through which the churches could minister to the hurting in this community, identifying needs and connecting those churches with needs. And I shared this story back in the early days when it was me and Nancy and this table of volunteers back here. Our only housing program was a ramp and repair program. And we did this through partnering with churches and brotherhood groups. And I see James Morrison and many of the men back there who've done this for years. God's blessed our ministry, and our housing program has grown now to include rapid rehousing, South SC Helps, which is the mortgage foreclosure, emergency rehabilitation, and owner-occupied rehabilitation. And we still do that wheelchair ramp program as well, working with our volunteers. But we got a call from a lady whose son had an adult son who was wheelchair bound. And she couldn't afford to build a wheelchair ramp. So she reached out to us, and she was in the Pendleton area. So we called on one of our churches there and said, "Would you go out and assess the need and let us know if it's something we can do?" So Steve came back and sat down with Nancy, and he said, "Nancy," he said, "we can do that ramp." He said, "Doesn't have to be that long, so it's not going to require that many materials. It won't cost that much. But if we build that ramp, it's going to be worth more than that house." Nancy said, "What?" He said, Nancy, it's bad. He said, in the kitchen, he said, you can literally see the ground. He said, the refrigerator's just sitting on 2 2x4s. He said, there's raw wires hanging down. How the house hadn't burned down, I don't know. There's no hot water. He said, I'd really rather us try to get this lady into a Habitat house. Now, that's a great idea, and Habitat is an amazing organization that we have a very strong partnership with, but that wasn't a realistic solution because, unfortunately, they can't build Habitat houses overnight. So he said, well, maybe getting her into a government apartment might be an answer. And we have strong relations with the apartments in Pendleton, so we said, okay, Steve, why don't you go back, sit down, talk with her, and let's regroup. So he did. First thing he found out was she didn't want to move. She had lived in that house her entire life. Second thing he found out was her daddy had purchased that house from his church. Now, many years earlier, when the house was not in that disrepair, but still, that started working on him. So he went back to his brotherhood group and to his Sunday school class and the church as a whole. And long story short, that church did about $10,000 worth of work to that lady's house. They had building supplies donated. They had a couple of electricians go in and totally rewire a house. Now that alone, if you've had any rewiring done, they had plumbers that went in. They built that wheelchair ramp. It was amazing. That church came together to meet the needs of somebody hurting in their community. A couple of months go by. The doorbell rings. Now let me remind you, there's still 3 people on staff. Early days. Doorbell rang. I went to the door. Afternoon, opened the door. Lady standing there, and I said, ma'am, can I help you? And she said, well, I didn't realize you were closed. And I said, well, we're really not closed, but we only see clients in the morning. Is there something that I can help you with? And she said, oh, well, I wanted to make a donation. And I said, oh, well, come on in. We're always open for that. And I took her back to Ms. Willie, my administrative assistant, and I thanked her, and I went out the back door, probably to try to get in somebody else's pocketbook. If John Gear were here, he'd be saying that. Wasn't long and my cell phone rang. It was Ms. Willie. She said, I couldn't wait for you to get back to tell you the story. I said, what story? She said, that was the lady from Pendleton. I said, really? She said, yep. She came in, she told me who she was, and she told me that she wanted to try to make a donation of $100 a month. We're talking the widow's mite. This lady didn't have $100 a month to make a donation to AIM. And Ms. Willie thanked her and told her how kind and generous that was and how much we appreciated it, but that just was not necessary. And when she told her that, the floodgates opened. And she said, yes, it is. She said, I can't tell you the dignity and the respect that those men showed me when they were in my home. And I can't tell you what a blessing it is to watch my son roll himself into our home now instead of crawling on his belly. It's necessary. That's ministry. That's not sitting around on Wednesday night and deciding whose power bill we're going to pay $50 on. It's getting outside of our safe church walls and giving of our time, our talent, and our treasure to show the love of Christ to people in need. That's ministry. That's how this community of faith can come together. And it's so important for us to re-engage with our churches. They created us, And somehow along the line, we've lost a lot of our churches. And it's important for us to get back to our roots and to those churches. And I would say probably 95% of you in this room have a church home and a Sunday school class. We need your help. I'm going to share with you another short story to illustrate how this community does respond, as Jordan and Amy said, whenever there's a need. Many of you are familiar with our Women and Children Succeeding program. And for many years, we wanted our own little house. Well, one day, Angie Shaw comes up from the pantry, and she says, "Christy, the little house beside us is vacant." I said, "How do you know?" She said, "Well, all the stuff's on the curb." I said, "Okay." So I picked up the phone and called Danny Mize, who's a former board chair, and Danny's in the real estate world. And I said, "Danny, can you find out who owns the property at 1208 South Murray?" A little while later, he called me back. I know the lady thought I was crazy because I called her and I introduced myself and I said, "Do you own the property at 1208 South Murray?" And she said, "Yes, we do." And I said, "Well, I'd like to buy it." She said, "It's not for sale." And I said, "But you don't understand. I need it." And she kind of chuckled because she was familiar with AIM. And she said, "All right, let me talk with my husband. It's investment property for us, so I'm sure he's probably not going to want to sell it. But I'll talk to him and I'll get back with you." A couple days go by. She calls me back. Now, this is mid-November. And she says, "Okay, I've talked him into it. He'll sell the house. He wants $45,000. He's not budging a penny. And we got to close by the end of the year." Now, it's the middle of November. So I started making our phone calls, and the board met and decided, you know what? We'll take a note out because we're not going to take money that's been sent to AIM to keep people warm, to feed people, to buy this property. But we know the community will respond, but we need to do it quick. So we're going to go ahead and take a note out. So we had $15,000 in hand. We financed 30. Ink wasn't dry on the contract, and one of my volunteers came in the office and he said, Hey girl, how much you owe on your note?" I said, $30,000. 2 days later, Steve Williamson and his wife Katie walked in my office with a $30,000 check. That's how this community responds. That's that heart for helping that so many of you have. We decided, kind of at the last minute, God love Amy. She puts up with me. I'm driving to Columbia, and it gives me way too much time to think, because I never have time to think at the office, and I'm driving to Columbia, and I call and I'm like, "We're going to make this breakfast an annual event. Let's give an award at every breakfast that we do for a heart for helping people that have just really showed up and responded to the needs of our community." And so we're starting today. We have a couple of Heart for Helping awards that we'd like to give out. We're going to set the stage for this one Heart for Helping award. It's a company that Jordan Evans and his food ministry could not do what they do if it were not for this company. Over the course of a year, this company's provided $250,000 worth of cash and food. Dang. Publix, Sean, Phil, will you please come up here to the stage? This is actually the very first time that I have met Sean. Jonas Johnson was the manager at the Clemson Boulevard store and a member of our board of directors before they moved him to Rock Hill. So Sean, how many days you been there?
About 20.
About 20 days. And I haven't had a chance to meet him, but there is a funny story. And that is that if y'all remember the best of that the Anderson Independent does, well, Publix got a couple of awards at that best of. but Phil got to put them in his store. And the Clemson Boulevard store didn't get to put any awards in their store. So, Sean, welcome to Anderson, and you get the Publix Award for a Heart for Helping. Thank you. Just kidding. Here's yours, too. You don't say anything, you're welcome.
It's our pleasure to help.
Thank you. We have just one more. And again, I have been reminded, and Nancy and I used to laugh because we'd say, okay, we're going through some rough stuff, so God's getting ready to open the skies and pour out the blessings. And Laurie Ashley's going to laugh at this one too, because we had gotten some tip that we were getting ready to lose 2 of our main grocery stores, because corporate was saying that without a refrigerated truck, we could no longer pick up food from those grocery stores, one of which was Publix. $250,000 worth. So I said, okay, we're going to work on this. We're going to get something in line before this actually happens. So I called Jerry Welburn at Carolina Produce. Is Jerry here? No. Jerry was supposed to be with us, so we'll do. Is Jerry's son here? No? Okay. But this is worth telling you guys the story. I went to Jerry and I said, Jerry, we are possibly going to lose the food that we use to serve approximately 750 families a month. But it's not just about AIM. It's about Meals on Wheels. It's about the Soup Kitchen. It's about the Haven of Rest. It's about Salvation Army. It's about all those organizations out there feeding hungry people. And without this food that we're able to rescue from these grocery stores, we're only going to be able to do a small fraction of what we're doing. Would you be willing to pick up for us? And he, without hesitation, without missing a beat, he said, absolutely. And I said, now, Jerry, how much is this going to cost us? Because Laurie and I had already talked, and we said, we've got to figure out a way to do this. He was like, let me do it for a couple of months, and I'll get back with you and we'll talk. Y'all, for, I think, over 6 years, is that right, Laurie? Over 6 years, Jerry Welburn and the guys at Carolina Produce have picked up every morning, Monday through Friday, and brought food to AIM that we then were able to disperse to our partner hunger ministries. Never charged us a penny. So we have a plaque that we'll get to Jerry for his heart for helping. That is an amazing heart for helping. He runs a business, and he does that. His staff, his trucks, his gas, he's always willing to do it. If you are already a stakeholder in our organization, if you already give to us, thank you. Without you and your contributions, we could not give hope and change lives at AIM. We need you. If you do, thank you so much for all that you do. It's because of you we can do what we do. If you don't, if you're not, I pray that maybe something you've heard today has encouraged you to be a part of our ministry. With your prayers, with your time, and yes, with your money. We talked about people responding when they know there's a need, a specific need especially. And so I'll share with you today that probably one of our largest needs is a refrigerated truck. Because we cannot continue to ask Jerry at Carolina Produce to pick up food for us 5 days a week. It's time for us to step up and buy that refrigerated truck. So that is a very specific need we have. If that is something that the Lord lays on your heart to help us with, you can designate a gift to that. We've already got the seed money. $15,000? $20,000? 20,000, something like that. Around 20,000 we've already got in hand for this. If you're like, wow, I can't, and any gift helps, regardless of how small or large it is. And somebody else, I think Amy said that. But if that's not something you're interested in, any gift to AIM, you don't have to designate it. General would be, welcomed as well. Also, Jordan put together and Angie put together a list of what we want to put in our Easter baskets. We give Easter boxes to families so that they can celebrate Easter with a nice meal. So ham and turkey and the trimmings for that. I think there are forms out there. Definitely you can find it on our website if that's something that you as an individual would like to do, or maybe your Sunday school class would like to do. We would welcome that. So there are envelopes on your table if you would like to make some kind of contribution to AIM. We'd love for you to do so. If you're interested in volunteering, Sarah is around here somewhere. She's happy to, you can go online and get the application. You can speak with her afterwards. And before Amy and I give out some door prizes, and when you fill out your little forms on your table, there's a joy box here. Where's Greg Wilson? Greg Wilson's back there videoing. Greg Wilson has wanted us to do joy boxes for I don't know how long. He's been fussing at me. Because as we know, it should be joyful to give to God so that he can work through AIM. And so Greg Wilson wants these joy boxes in every church in Anderson and possibly every Sunday school in every church in Anderson. So don't be surprised if you see a joy box. But the joy box will be at the back. If you sew or move to make a contribution, you can just stick it in that joy box on your way out. And I need to do a quick shout out. Could all the AIM staff stand? We've got an amazing, amazing team. We couldn't do this work. Thank you guys. And in particular, the development team, Sarah, Kim, and Amy. I don't know that I've ever been to a breakfast that went this smoothly as far as getting your food and getting to the table. These guys did an amazing job of putting all this together. So thank you. And before you leave, if you want to walk over and look, these were the signs that the volunteers made about why they feel compelled to give and donate time at AIM. So please encourage you to take a minute or two to go over there and look at that. So with that being said, we'll do some door prizes. Right now I can't see, so you have to read. I'll draw, you read.
You draw, I'll read? Okay. Okay, I do have my glasses on. All right. Rochelle Shirley from Chick-fil-A. Yay! Oh, wait, you're picking. I just wanted to add something. If you want a copy of the video is going to be posted on our website and social media, but if you want an actual CD copy, I would be more than happy to make you one. So just come by and I'll give you a copy.
All right, you know what this one is so we can tell them. And who was that one donated by? Sarah? LeBron
Designs donated that heart-shaped planter. And next,
we have Our Massage from Oasis Day Spa.
You're drawing on 3D.
We all need that, don't we?
Yes.
And Oots. You Chick-fil-A ladies are lucky. I want to open Dale, so you tell them about this one.
Okay. So, my husband works in sales. He's been in medical sales for 19 years. But on the side, just to do something creative, he is a glass blower, and he makes hummingbird feeders. So this goes in the bottom, Christy. So that's what this is. He makes necklaces and earrings. Mostly, he loves making these hummingbird feeders. I think more because I'm obsessed with bird feeders in our house, so I have lots of these hanging. So, but that's, I'm going to draw that one next. Mm-hmm. Tammy Blackwell from Anderson Federal Credit Union.
Yay. You can't get it, but we got one more at dinner to do it.
Maybe tie it.
All right.
Tammy. Here, let me tie it up so you don't. Sorry. I hope you like the colors. I didn't tell him what colors to make.
And lastly, if you haven't been to Cobb's Glen on Friday night to the 19th hole, you're really missing out. Some of the best prime rib you've ever had. Sherilyn Kennedy, who used to be at the Galley, is at Cobb's Glen. So she gave us dinner for two at Cobb's Glen. There's no business cards in here.
Okay. David Shellhorse from Wood Forest Bank.
Yay!
Saw him. There he is.
Can you wrap it up?
Okay. Well, thank you. Once again, thank you all for being here, coming out in this rain, coming out to this first breakfast event we've ever had. We just appreciate everyone, all their support, your continued support of our programs and volunteering and whatever capacity you want to get involved in AIM. We just appreciate this whole community coming together to give hope and change lives. Thank you. Have a good day.